brother! No!
Howdy twins, this is Lord Sauziness coming in with my government stuff, and my question for this is, what would we do as a society if there was no government, if there was nobody to tell us what to do? What would we do? So first things out of the way is, how would a government collapse happen? And there are many different ways a government collapse could happen. There is the instance of Rome, where the government just kind of sucks. So, there's nuclear war. I mean, if we blow up everything, then nothing really to govern. But there would still more than likely be people to govern. I don't think it would be total annihilation. There could be, we lose power. The grid goes down and we have no way to connect or anything at all, and people just kind of won't be able to govern each other. You build small governments, but there won't be, you just lose government. And then there's also overthrowing the government, but you overthrow the government, you install a new government, so not really lack of government, but that could also be thrown in there. But how would us as a society mainly recover from something like this in a general basis? And to be fair, in that we would probably build small governments. You'd have little communities, like for instance for us, we'd have Albuquerque, that's their own government area, the East Mountain community, their own little area, Los Lunas, their own little area. They'll all be little governed areas that are more like city-states rather than centralized government. Now, question for us is, has we ever seen something like this happen before? And the answer is yes. In history, fall of the Roman Empire, fall of the empires before that, but for us, have we seen anything in modern time that could give us a simulation of what would happen in this scenario? And that is also a yes. About 22 years ago, we have the 2003 New York blackout, which was the northeastern United States and part of Canada that experienced a power outage, and it was there wasn't really any governing bodies. There was no way to really enforce law because you had no power. But the 2003 blackout showed us more of a people coming together and working with each other to build versus more looting and burning and rioting. But I think the 2003 blackout, they saw more of that because of the 9/11 terrorist attacks. So people were under the assumption that we're under attack. 26 years prior to that, though, there was the Big Apple blackout in New York, and that one, you did see a lot more arrests, a lot more fires, as people did burn stuff and loot stuff and take what they wanted. However, 10 years prior to that, New York had another blackout, and that was more closely resembled to the 2003 one. So things could vary based on where you are. I mean, you may see more crime in one city than you would in another, and you may see more community building than you would in another. It all varies. But those blackouts are examples of kind of what we would do if there was anarchy. Now, how would people survive? And there's self-sufficiency. That's one thought that's thrown up in the air. And I feel like an example to look at for self-sufficiency would be Ted Kaczynski, who lived in the forest for 30 years of his life and kind of did a hunting-gathering type technique for his food. He was off-grid, no electricity, no running water. He had a whole buckets of water to his cabin, but he still wasn't really self-sufficient, as he did get financial aid from his family, and he did actually do side jobs to make money, under the table jobs, because it's Ted Kaczynski. But yes, he made his sort of money, and he would go to town and buy groceries and stuff, which is interesting for a man who hates government so much, but he would do that. My conclusion is that I think there would be anarchy initially. You know, people would go and steal themselves a big 75-inch flat screen TV, because why not? But then what are you gonna do with a flat screen TV if you have the power? So people do dumb stuff like that and try and get ahead in what they think would be their still sane world, even though they're not really getting anything. And then after that, I think people kind of get tired of having shit stolen from them, and they'd be like, alright, let's pack up, and they'll make a pack, and that pack will be their form of government. And from the degradation of a large government, you'll see the form of multiple smaller governments from more like city-states, and that will govern themselves. And that is my theory on what would happen if we saw a government collapse.